I helped my cousin run his crab ponds and made him 3 million, but when harvest season came, he only sent me 50 grand. He said the pond was his, the money was his, and all I did was toss in feed. I looked at the transfer on my phone. I didn't refuse it, and I didn't blow up. I just took the money and turned around to lease the nastiest abandoned dead pond in the whole village. By the next summer, his pond was full of dead crabs floating on the surface, stinking up the air, while every crab in my pond was alive and kicking. Looking at how pale his face turned, I stood by my lush new pond, took 2 steps back and said, "Don't drag your toxins into my place." I heard my cousin spent that whole night on his knees in the mud crying. He just couldn't figure out why my crabs were thriving. Earlier, I was by the pond logging the day's pH and ammonia levels when a brand new Mercedes G-Wagon pulled up next to me. My cousin Jiangfu pushed the door open, covered his nose in disgust, and nudged the mud with the tip of his shoe. "Chiang, this year's numbers are in. I already sent your cut." I stared at the 50,000 yuan on my screen without saying a word. In my head, I was already doing the math. For 3 years, over 1,000 days and nights, I basically lived in that shack. I knew this year's premium crab haul was huge. After rent and feed, the net profit was close to 3 million, and he only sent me 50,000. Chiang, profits were solid this year. We made almost 3 million. Take this 50,000 and go buy yourself a little car in town. This crab pond job throwing feed around, a tied-up dog could do that. You're still young. Take the 50,000 and go try your luck in the city. But hearing that, I felt nothing. 3 years ago when he took over this pond, he almost lost everything because he didn't understand water quality. It was my homegrown compound bacteria blend that brought the water back. I told him I'd provide the know-how and we'd split profits 30-70. He said we were family, and that he'd never do me wrong. I wasn't angry. I just quietly tucked my notebook into my jacket. "All right, I'll take the money." Jiangfu clearly didn't expect me to be that easy to brush off. He froze for a second. "Take the money and go home. Get some rest for a few days." I nodded. I picked up the old woven sack stuffed with beat-up clothes from the corner. "The pump filter in the pond needs replacing. Don't forget to get somebody on it." I didn't even look at him again. Then I turned and walked straight into the cold, late autumn wind, because I knew one thing for sure. Without my extremely strict pond bottom adjustments, that so-called rich, fertile crab pond would turn into a stinking ditch within 6 months. I didn't go back to my place in town. I was afraid of running into people asking how much I made from this year's crab harvest, or how my cousin had treated me. I just kept walking down the dirt road through the village. That notebook in my arms looked like trash to everyone else, but it held 3 years of my life. Just then, my phone buzzed. Jiangfu was dropping Hong Bao in the group chat. He was going all out in the family chat, bragging about this year's haul. The relatives ate it up and piled on with praise. I shut off my screen and headed toward the lowest end of the village. There was an abandoned black water pond down there, choked with blue-green algae year-round and smelling absolutely foul. The land sat low, so it collected stagnant water all year long. Even the village stray dogs wouldn't go near it. I stood on the weedy bank and looked at that dark green, almost black water. To everyone else, it was just a trash pit. But I crouched down, pinched a little sludge from the bottom, lifted it to my nose, and smelled it. A thought pushed up in my head like a sprout breaking through dirt, and I couldn't hold it back anymore. Didn't he say even a dog could do the feed job? Fine, I'd show him what real skill actually looks like. I turned and walked straight to the village office. "Secretary Huang in? Chiang? Why aren't you over at Jiangfu's crab pond? What are you doing here? I want to ask about that black water pond downstream. Is it available for lease?" Secretary Huang just stared at me. He looked at me like I was out of my mind. "That thing's a dead pond. The water reeks. What would you even lease it for? Nobody would take it even if we paid them. How much for a year?" "If you really want it, 1,000 a year, just a token amount. But let's be clear. If you lose money, the village isn't covering anything." I ran the numbers fast in my head. That 50,000 was enough to lease the pond and still cover the early cleanup equipment, stock solution, and supplies. I got a little impatient. "I want it for 5 years. Let's sign right now." The secretary had probably never seen anybody so eager to jump into a fire pit. "Chiang, don't do something stupid. Jiangfu just made big money. Why not stick with him? All right, bring the contract over, man." The second I signed and stamped it, I ran to the pond, fired up. The abandoned blackwater pond was huge. The thick green algae sat on the surface like a coat of paint, and the smell was brutal. When the villagers heard I'd leased that land, they all came to watch the show. Did Chiang snap or what? What could possibly grow in a dump like this? Ha ha ha. Jiangfu gave him a 50,000 bonus, and instead of saving it to get married, he dumped it all into this stink pit. What a total screw-up. Jiangfu even drove his G-Wagon over to take a look. He rolled down the window, laughing so hard he was practically folding in half. "Ha ha ha. Chiang, if that 50,000's burning a hole in your pocket, I can take you into the city for a foot massage, man. Why waste it messing around in this filth?" I ignored him. I just kept wading through waist-deep black water and chest waders, hauling out rotten branches. The stench was awful, but I didn't even flinch because I knew exactly what I was doing. After the random onlookers cleared out that night, I opened the black plastic barrels I'd hauled back from town earlier that day. Inside was the compound probiotic stock I'd developed in secret after pouring in who knows how much effort. This microbial mix was made specifically for heavily eutrophic dead water like this. I diluted it to the gram, then sprayed it evenly into every corner of the pond. That kind of work doesn't allow even the smallest mistake. For a full week, I slept by day and worked by night. In the daytime, I looked like some rag picker patching the pond banks. At night, I was the magician of that whole body of water. The miracle showed up on the morning of week 2. The dark green algae started disappearing in huge patches. The sharp stench faded and got replaced by the light, earthy smell of water plants and wet soil. The water slowly turned clear. At last, sunlight could reach all the way to the bottom. I kept the momentum going and planted the carefully selected Elodea. In less than half a month, the whole Blackwater pond looked brand new, full of lush weeds and crystal clear. Right when I was about to stock the fry, my phone rang. It was Jung-Fu. I frowned and answered. His voice was thick with alcohol, and in the background I could hear the chaos of a KTV room and women laughing. "Chiang, you still out there digging for food in that stink pit? What's up? I just hired a few old guys in the city. 80 a day. Their whole job is feeding my pond. Take your time playing in the mud. When New Year comes around, maybe I'll toss you a couple leftover crabs." Got it. I hung up. My face was as calm as the water in front of me. Jung-Fu was out in the city partying it up, with no clue how ruthless nature's payback could be. I walked to the edge of the pond and opened the last few insulated foam boxes. Inside were the first-generation golden crab fry I'd secretly kept back, bred for serious disease resistance. Watching those tiny, crystal-clear lives slip into the clean water and thick weeds, I picked up my notebook, turned to a fresh page, and wrote down the day's water temperature and stocking amount. After I scattered the last batch of fry, the sky was already starting to lighten. I walked home through the morning mist. Back when I took over that abandoned pond, it had been a reckless move. But now that I'd calmed down, the pressure hit me all at once. Every penny I had was in it, and every night's ecological adjustments felt like walking on thin ice. This pond was like a bottomless pit, swallowing my blood, sweat, and money. I knew I couldn't fail. I had to make this work, not just to break even, but to prove a point. When I got home and pushed the door open, the smell of food hit me right away. My parents and my fiancée Xiaoya were all sitting at the table, obviously waiting for me. My mom started in right away. "Why were you gone all night? I've reheated these dishes twice already." I lied. There was some cleanup work left at the pond and it ran long. "Go wash up and eat." Xiaoya stood up, handed me a clean towel, and there was worry all over her face. "Why do you look so bad? Are you worn out?" "I'm fine. Just stayed up all night, that's all." The mood at the table felt heavy. My mom put some food in my bowl. "Chiang, how much did Jung-Fu actually give you this year?" That question hit me like a needle straight to the heart. My dad and Xiaoya both stopped eating and looked at me. I set down my bowl, pulled out my phone, opened the transfer screen, and tried to sound casual. "It's right here, 50,000. My mom's brows knotted up immediately. 50,000? That's it? The whole village is saying Jung-Fu made almost 3 million this year. Mom, it looked good on the surface, but the loss rate was high too. And next year they still want to expand, so money's tight everywhere. The water surface belongs to him. The capital and the risk are his too. There's really not much left over. I'm just the guy helping toss feed. Getting 50,000 is already pretty decent." My dad just kept smoking his pipe without saying anything. Xiaoya looked like she wanted to speak but held it back. Only my mom looked angry and unconvinced. "No way. If you hadn't been out there every night watching that pond, it would have gone bad a long time ago. Did Jung-Fu screw you over?" "Mom, don't say that. Jung-Fu's my cousin. You really think he'd cheat me?" "He deserves the bigger cut. We've got to be fair." Every word I said felt like it was tearing me apart inside. Every single word was a betrayal of the last 3 years of my work. But I had to say it. I couldn't let them know I'd already cut ties with Jung-Fu. And I definitely couldn't let them know I'd leased the most disgusting dead pond in the whole village. I didn't want them worrying themselves sick over me. My mom was about to say more, but my dad cut her off. "All right, eat. The boy knows what he's doing." That night, lying in bed, Xiaoya wrapped her arms around me. "You're not acting like yourself today. You're definitely hiding something." I turned over and held her in my arms. "What could I be hiding? The wind was rough last night and gave me a headache, that's all. Really. Go to sleep. Tomorrow I'll take you into town." She settled down in my arms, but I couldn't sleep at all. I lay there staring at the mottled ceiling, my head full of that black water pond quietly transforming itself. It was my hope and my only way out. The next few days were the liveliest time of year in the village. Every household was counting up the year's earnings and getting ready to butcher pigs for the new year, and I acted like nothing was wrong. During the day, I went with my parents and Xiaoya to shop for New Year's supplies.